Advance voting could crack the 2 million mark by close of play today. The Electoral Commission has been crunching the numbers. Total early votes topped 1.74 million yesterday, already 500,000 ahead of 2017's total. And today was looking like the busiest yet. So in simple terms, that could mean about 55% of voters have already rolled the dice ahead of election day. I asked the Commission's Manager of Voting Services, Graeme Astle, exactly how the votes are counted.
All of the ordinary votes that have been taken up to the end of today, across every electorate, they'll be organising teams and they'll start that process from 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and they will continue counting through the day until they finish. So a lot of votes to get through. Very busy day tomorrow for our electorate headquarters, and that happens while we are doing the election day voting out in all that 2,500 or more voting places.
Right, so where are they counted? Are they counted where they're collected?
So each of the electorates has a pretty extensive headquarter building, and all of the votes that have been taken prior to election day are repatriated back to those headquarters, and they are sorted from tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock and counted during the course of the day. So it's either in the headquarters building, or if they have not got sufficient space, they have leased space of a sufficient size close by, and they will be counted in those buildings.
Paint us a picture, Graeme. So what does this look like? Do you have a lot of people hunched over paper, flicking through it with, wetting their fingertips in a little vessel and counting, or what is it? How does it work?
So as we've worked through the advance voting leading up to today, each of the headquarters will have been doing plans to work out how long they will need to do the counting, how many people they will need. So we've done some time and motion studies, and we've got a sort of an estimate of how many votes people will be able to do per hour.
Oh, give us some details, Graeme.
You're getting into the detail that I'm not entirely familiar with.
But basically, just to sum up, you have actually, in essence, timed some people to see how many votes they can accurately get through in a set period of time. In like an hour, you can do XYZ numbers, and you've just extrapolated that out to kind of work out how long this is going to take.
Correct. So what we have to do is voting place by voting place is from 9 o'clock, open those ballot boxes and then sort all the papers to make sure that the correct papers are in the right ballot boxes. And so we have to do all that first, voting place by voting place. Now, some of our electorates will be doing well over 100 counts tomorrow, so there's a logistical exercise that will take quite a bit of time, and they have to go through each one of those in a very logical, managed way without rushing. And then once that's all been done, they can then start counting, and they do that voting place by voting place. And they will have a number of teams, so they could have 6, 7 or even 8 teams of people working on a voting place at a time simultaneously, and getting through that process and recording the outcomes.
So, do you count your wodge first, and then do you hand it to me, and then I count it to make sure it's right, or what?
So what we do is we do an assessment of all of the votes issued, ordinary votes issued at a particular voting place. So on a daily basis, we know how many votes have been issued, how many voting papers they have, and so we've got to account for that before we start. So we know what number we're going to be counting to, and then they sort those papers out, and then they count, and they've got a balance to that. We have a small threshold of difference depending on the volumes of papers. But generally people, if they've issued 200 for a voting place, they'll count 200. And so that's the process that we go through, and to make sure that the result on the night is as reasonably accurate as we possibly can get it, in the knowledge that we do an official count after that.
And it is all manual?
It's all manual.
So,
Yep. And so what happens tomorrow morning is essentially people will be sequestered into a room. So they will give up their cell phones and any other electronic transmitting devices, and they will remain in that room for the rest of the day, excepting for any escorted toilet stops. And they stay in the room, and that's all designed to ensure that no results can in any way be leaked out in advance of 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
Okay,
so we'll have a bunch of people at every electorate, in effect, locked up until 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
When the dunga goes off, how are you going to release the information about these advanced/early votes? How are we going to get it?
So at 7 o'clock when the doors open, it depends. Some electorates may still be working on their counts because of the size. Other electorates might be completed, but we then have a team of data entry operators, and they will be entering those results in for those advanced voting places. And once it goes in, it goes automatically up into the media feed. So as it goes in, you'll get to see it. And so that will happen shortly after 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And then we expect the counts from voting places on election day to start coming in probably from about 8:30 tomorrow night, and they will gradually come in as well. So you'll see them as they come in and are checked and entered. They'll be part of that media feed.
So, Graeme, when we get the advanced vote results starting to come as soon as the polls close, basically, it's not going to come in one lump sum, but as it filters through, will people watching and listening to the results be able to see that, OK, that is 1% of the total number of votes returned, and they are from these specific geographical areas, or what?
Yep, it'll be electorate by electorate. So you'll be able to see it based on electorate. And so, you'll get a fair indication probably in the first hour after 7 o'clock of the advanced vote counts. Our aim is to finish the counting before 7 o'clock, but that's not always possible just because of the sheer volume. So if they're not finished, they just keep counting. And then in parallel to that, you'll start to see what happens on voting day, on election day. Those votes as well start to feed in.
So, Graeme, are you excited?
Oh, absolutely. We're seeing a lot more young people out there voting, which has been one of our focuses. And I think we've just accessed areas of the country where, people probably wouldn't think that we would be. We've tried to make it as accessible as possible, and we've tried to help as many people as possible to get a vote.